Washington Commanders face off against the Cincinnati Bengals on the road in Week 3 on Monday Night Football in Jayden Daniels' first primetime game as a pro. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry. Today, I'm going to be breaking down this Week 3 matchup. Going to be breaking down everything that Commanders fans need to know about the Cincinnati Bengals, keys to victory for the Washington Commanders to get this win in Week 3 and pull off the upset. And then I got my official score prediction at the end of today's show, so make sure you guys stick around to the very end. But before we get into it today, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon and like today's show at the top of the program, because we are doing a like battle with our frenemies here at the Bengals Breakdown, hosted by Stone Shields. They got 533 likes on their preview video earlier this week, so I want to beat that number right now. And this is what Stone told me earlier this week about this week's matchup. Definitely not ideal. The Bengals start their season 0-2, but at least we have a guaranteed win in the Commanders at home on Monday Night Football. Nearly took down the Chiefs and Burrowhead last week. Now we show the NFL world just how terrible that Commanders team really is. So if you want to stick it to Stone Shields right now, the host of our Bengals channel, click that thumbs up icon and let's beat his like total from yesterday's video. I greatly appreciate your guys' support. Okay, now let's break down the Cincinnati Bengals in this matchup, because I definitely think this is going to be an interesting one here. You got two former Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks from the LSU Tigers facing off for the first time as professionals. Jayden Daniels for the Washington Commanders versus Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Right now, the Bengals, they're a desperate football team. They're 0-2 to start the season. If they go 0-3, oh my goodness, playoffs might be in jeopardy for those Pussycats moving forward into the 2024 season, so the Commanders can deal a serious blow to what many people expected to be a real competitor in the AFC if they can pull off the upset on the road in front of a national audience this week. Now let's get into what you guys can expect from them schematically. Their head coach is Zach Taylor. He's been here for quite a while. Of course, led this team to a Super Bowl a couple years back. The offensive scheme, they kind of hybridized the West Coast offense that Zach learned from Sean McVay in his time with the Los Angeles Rams. They kind of hybridized it with kind of the pro spread game that you see in the National Football League. That's what Joe Burrow is extremely comfortable with. Joe is more comfortable in shotgun with spread concepts. They run a lot of that stuff in the passing game, but in the run game, they will still go under center. They will do outside zone. They will do those types of West Coast system stuff, but the Bengals offense is pretty unique because of that hybridized system. Then on defense, they run a lot of nickel, all right? So they're going to have 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and then 5 defensive backs on the field pretty much the entire game, okay? Their defensive play caller, Lou Anarumo, he was a big name in the head coaching searches a couple years back. He did some very creative things, but he asks a lot from his players, and I'm not sure if they have the horses on defense in terms of overall talent anymore to really run this defense efficiently, and their defense has been in trouble here for the last 2 seasons now. Take a look at what they've done so far this season. In Week 1, they lost surprisingly to the New England Patriots by a final score of 16-10. T. Higgins has been out. Jamar Chase hasn't really been practicing all that much because of his contract dispute. The Bengals really laid an egg in that Week 1 matchup. Then they lose in Week 2 to the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's why losing to the Patriots, a game that you should really win in Week 1, was so important, because the Chiefs are so tough to beat in Kansas City. They did make it a game, 26-25. No T. Higgins again. Mike Gesicki really had a good game with 91 yards. But Joe Burrow, definitely not the best start to his 2024 campaign, not the best start for this Bengals team as a whole. So right now, maybe the Commanders can take advantage of that heading into this Monday Night Football matchup. So I'd say you guys, let me know down there in the comments section. There's a lot of people talking about the Bengals as a potential Super Bowl contender this year. They start the season 0-2. Do you think this team are frauds? Let me know down there in the comments section. Yes or no, are the Bengals frauds? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or no. So the key offensive pieces for Cincinnati, my mistake, are, really the big 3, right? Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Now, T. Higgins has been dealing with an injury here. Orlando Brown is a good left tackle. Mike Gesicki, has been targeted a lot in these first two games. And then Zach Moss is the running back they brought in to replace Joe Mixon this offseason. Hasn't gotten out to a great start, but, man, not having T. Higgins on the field is really, really big for the Cincinnati Bengals offense because pretty much with him off the field, defenses can just double Jamar Chase. So if he doesn't play in this week's matchup, that is going to be a big advantage for the Washington Commanders. Jamar Chase is a really, really special player, but if you're able to double him the entire game, Joe Burrow's going to have to find other ways to win offensively. Then on defense here, Trey Hendrickson is a really, really good edge rusher. He's kind of maybe not one of the most elite edge rushers in the league, but he's very, very solid number one. They have a very good inside linebacker duo in Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt. Lots of speed there, lots of intelligence. You're really going to have to manipulate the middle of the field to beat these guys. And then Cam Taylor-Britt right now, their number one corner, is actually the number 2 highest graded corner in football through the first 2 weeks. So keep your eye out for Cam Taylor-Britt. Might be in for a breakout season this year guarding Terry McLaurin. So what to expect from this Bengals team, man? The defense is not quite as good as you think it is, and I don't think the offense really is as good as people think it is, especially if they don't have T. Higgins. All right, so that's going to be a big question heading into Monday night is whether T. Higgins is suiting up or not. I do expect the Bengals to be a high-flying passing attack in this one. Maybe get Zach Moss going a little bit, but they're going to be relying on the pass, and they're going to be hoping that this defense does a good enough job containing Jayden Daniels to get the victory. So still to come here on the Commanders Report preview here for Week 3. Keys to victory versus the Bengals. I got 8 keys to victory for the Commanders to get the dub this week. I got my full scouting report on Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, and then I got my Week 3 score prediction, so don't go anywhere. But before we get into the rest of today's preview, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Factor Meals. And now that football season is back, sometimes you just want something quick so you can enjoy the games whether on Saturday or Sunday. But what if you don't want something super unhealthy, right? So fuel your game day experience this year with Factor's no prep, no mess meals with their menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and even Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are this football season, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert and stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Head on over to factormeals.com/CommandersChat50 and use code CommandersChat50. It's right down there in the bottom of your screen right now to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code CommandersChat50 at factormeals.com/CommandersChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is still active. A big shout out to Factor Meals for sponsoring today's edition of the Commanders Report. So keys to victory here. Number 1, got to get after Joe Burrow because, listen, man, I think that this Bengals roster has been depleted quite a bit over the last several seasons because they've had to pay Burrow. They're going to have to pay Chase after this season. And because of that, they let a lot of their top players on defense and even on the offensive side of the ball go. But this guy is legitimately an elite quarterback. He does everything good or to above average, right? This guy is just such a complete quarterback. No, he's not an elite rusher or anything like that. He has been injured in the past. He's not like an elite rusher of the football or anything like that, but the size is what you look for. He throws the ball over the middle of the field with efficiency and accuracy. The mental processing is top notch. And the pocket presence is really, really good as well. He can feel pressure, move inside the pocket, plays with really good footwork. He is so clean. The throwing mechanics are some of the most clean that you will ever see from any quarterback in this league today. And he's one of the most clutch performers in the sport today. So he is a top 5 starting quarterback, elite starting quarterback in this league. Some people have him in the top 3 in the league right now. So he's a big-time weapon for this Cincinnati Bengals offense. And the way that you beat him is that you put pressure on him. Because he's not that like super elite athlete, you have to get to him and you have to put him on the ground and you have to force quick decisions And, obviously if you put pressure on QBs, no matter who they are, whether it's Tom Brady, whether it's Patrick Mahomes, whether it's Joe Burrow, right, they're going to make some mistakes. So if you can put pressure on Joe Burrow in this football game, you're going to have some level of success. The only problem is the Washington Commanders pass rush has not been very good to start this season, man. I believe they only have 2 sacks right now, both going to Cleveland Ferrell. And I just don't really see, against this Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, that changing. I mean, the New York Giants offensive line isn't very good, and you barely put any pressure on Daniel Jones. So Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. need to come up with a game plan here, whether that's blitzing, whether that's doing twists in games and stunts at the line of scrimmage. They have to find a way to get this pass rush going, get Jonathan Allen going, get Daron Payne going, get Dorrance Armstrong in the backfield. Blitz, Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu if you have to, man. Get creative so you can get to Joe Burrow. If you don't do that, you're going to lose this football game. Another thing that you have to do, unless you want to lose, is you got to not let Jamar Chase dominate this football game. Whether T. Higgins plays or not, Jamar Chase cannot be allowed to get over 150 yards receiving, 2-3 touchdowns. He can't be just an absolute juggernaut that we know that he can be. And this is definitely something that I'm concerned about heading into this week, guys, because you got guys like Benjamin St-Juste, Noah Igbenogany, Michael Davis. It doesn't look like Emmanuel Forbes is going to be playing in this football game. And this secondary has been burnt toast through the first 2 weeks of the season. BSJ has been the best corner on the team. He's been pretty good. He had a pretty darn good week in week 2 against the Giants. He's going to be tasked with going up against Jamar Chase. And if you are the Washington Commanders right now, you are really, really hoping that T. Higgins doesn't play in this football game so you can double Jamar Chase. If T. Higgins plays in this game, I think that's going to spell a lot of trouble for this Washington Commanders defense, especially if they're not putting pressure on Joe Burrow. Then we get to the offensive side of the ball here, and there are a lot of keys to victory on the offensive side of the ball here. I think a big key is going to be shortening the game, and you do that by running the football, just like you did last week, right? Brian Robinson Jr. had over 130 yards rushing against that New York Giants front seven, and I think that this is a team in the Cincinnati Bengals that you can run against, all right? So I think you get B-Rob going, you get Austin Eckler involved as well, and I definitely think that the Commanders need to get this run game going, and they need to limit the amount of points that the Cincinnati Bengals can put on the scoreboard. Control the clock, control the time of possession. Don't put Burrow on the field, right? Make this game a shorter game, really condense the time frame that the Bengals have to score, and then make a big play late in the game. That's going to be the game plan for the Commanders in this one. Talking about Jayden Daniels here in his first ever primetime game, get him into a rhythm just like you did last week, man. Like this offense was moving the football down the field. Maverick was hitting those intermediate dig routes. Now, I do think you need to get Terry McLaurin the football a bit more. That matchup between him and Cam Taylor-Britt is going to be one I'm watching out for in this one. But Jayden Daniels hasn't been impressive to this point in the first 2 games of the season. Hoping to see more impressive stuff from him heading into week 3. Another thing to keep your eye on here is Trey Hendrickson. I think it's going to be really big for this Commanders offensive line to try and contain him, whether it's Cornelius Lucas or whether it's Brandon Coleman. Hendrickson's a handful, let's put it that way. He is a very good player, and if you let Hendrickson get to Jayden Daniels, it's going to be a very long day for the Commanders offense. And then also, guys, 7 field goals last week, and I love that Austin Seibert is a legit kicker, and that issue's fixed for this team. But you need to finish some drives with touchdowns, man. You need to get into the end zone. Can't have stupid penalties in the red zone like you had time and time again against the Giants. You need to be able to play disciplined football when the area gets tight in the red zone. Hopefully Jayden Daniels can lead this group to some touchdowns this week. Then we get to the turnover battle, and I think you definitely have to win it, all right? I think that because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and that offense is going to be such a handful for the Commanders' defense in this one, you cannot throw 2 interceptions and Burrow throws none, right? You just can't have that type of performance. You need to win the turnover battle to have a shot in this football game. And then if the game is late, if you succeed in doing all of these things, right, and you succeed at making this a game in the fourth quarter, The big thing is going to be making that big play late. Now, whether that's an interception, whether that's a big-time sack, whether that's a big touchdown run from Jayden Daniels, whatever the case may be, there's going to be a play that needs to be made in the fourth quarter. A big key to victory is going to be making that play late. That is, if it's close. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already, if you want the Washington Commanders to win on Monday Night Football this week and pull off the upset and shock the NFL world. But to me, guys, I think that the Bengals offense is going to get it going in this one. You know, I have serious concerns about this Commanders secondary. We've seen this team play defense these first 2 weeks, and I think that Joe Burrow, being a probably top 3 quarterback in the National Football League, you got a guy in Jamar Chase. T. Higgins may or may not play, but Mike Gesicki is another option for them. I think that the Bengals are going to score a lot of points in this one. I think Jayden Daniels in the offense will show some good things. They'll score a couple of touchdowns, but a lot like that Week 1 loss against Tampa Bay, I think it will be a double-digit loss for the Washington Commanders. Hope I'm wrong, though, but let me know down there in the comments section. Predict the score here for Monday Night Football in Week 3. Can the Commanders pull off the upset against the Pussycats and send them to 0-3. Let me know your score prediction down there in the comments section. I got 31-20 Cincinnati. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. That'll be it for today's show, guys. I really do appreciate all the real ones that made it to the end of today's program. Don't forget to click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already to help us beat the Bengals in our like battle today. And make sure you click that subscribe button for in-depth Commanders coverage every single day during the 2024 NFL season.